I've typed. I just use Control C after highlighting to copy. And of course, I'm going to use Control V to paste. In this section, we are going to really understand how to do copy and paste. In Excel, you can copy functions. You can also copy them as just numbers. So I just duplicated these names here. Remember also, now to stop this highlighted, I just press my escape. Remember also that to expand the size of the column, you just have to click between these and expand it a little. Okay, that's fine. Now the positions, maybe I start with the general manager, then maybe manager. Please, I need more positions. I need more positions. I want us to do this together so you can suggest more positions. Let me see. Okay. The business development officer, accountants, sales manager. That's a good one. Yeah, receptionist. Receptionist. Editor. I need to edit this, so I need to just double click there to edit that. Security. This security, let's say there are two. So security 1 and security 2. Okay, this is just basically it. Again, you notice that the position column is very small. Okay, cleaner. I think janitor still stands as cleaner there. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I see that. Oh, driver. Yes, please. Driver is very important. Driver. Driver. Let me put the name there. Victor. So far. The driver. Yes. Okay, basically, let's say this is just it. Now, remember that this list may not be, it may not have been exhausted. It could be, okay, we can even add a serial number to them. Let's say here, the first column, luckily there's a column here. Now, supposing there was no column on this left-hand side, you can just, please, everyone should mute. Okay, I can actually click on this side, and I click there. You're going to see insert. Now on insert, now I can insert an entire column. You see insert entire column. Good. Observe that I just inserted an entire column. So if there was no column to the left and I needed to add something to the left, you just insert an entire column. The same way you can also insert an entire row. So this column, I want to call it serial number. Okay, now there are automatic ways of doing serial number here. If I type 1, enter 2, and then enter 3. Now, if I highlight this first 3, come to this same place where we usually drag that, click there and drag. Except you understand that I'm just putting serial numbers and it's just going to apply the rest for me to give me up to number 11. So we have 11 persons on this payroll. Sometimes also good you know how many persons you're paying. It's a very important column in the payroll. Now, another way of doing it, let me delete this. Is after typing number 1, I can come to number 2, then I'll say equal to. Then I want to call this cell address where I have number 1, which is C5. Instead of typing C5, I can just click on C5. It will be selected. So I will say C5 plus. To type your plus, you hold your shift and press your quality on your keyboard, +1, enter. You see that gives me number 2. Now this is now a function C5 plus 1. So If I double click on this edge, it also filters for the rest. That is two ways of doing serial number. That is to get numbers that are serial. Good. If you want it to be in twos, you can say +2. So it's going to be like maybe 2, 4, 6, 8, even numbers, and so on. Now this column here, we also need to adjust it, this position column. So I'll click here and expand. Okay, let me undo that. Now, if I don't want to expand that and I want to fit it into the same place, maybe I will just highlight this entire column, come to this place and use text wrap. See what text wrap will do. Have you seen that? Text wrap fits the text into that particular column, but it's not looking very fine. Let me undo it. So the best is just to drag here. Okay. Now, remember all these basic salaries, transport allowance, some of them are not showing very well. Now, in Excel, you can change the text direction just like you can do in Word. Now, I want these text directions to face a 90 degrees. Very simple. I'm just going to highlight this column. Then I can go to my, I can just right click on it. It's very simple. Go to formats. You see format cell here. If you right click, you see format cell. Allow it to load. So I want to turn the text direction. You see, from format cell, you can change alignment, you can change fonts, you can even do that border, which we usually do on the menu bar. You can even apply fill and protection. So I'm going to go to alignment. Now the alignment here is at 0 degrees. So I'm going to click on this and drag it up to 90 degrees. See, the degree is 90. Well, I can simply just come here and type 90 degrees and okay. Now, you see the direction of the text. So the text is now taking a vertical direction. Also, I can change the alignment by highlighting. If you come to this place, you see the text alignment. It can be at the middle, it can be at the edge, you can even bring it to the center. But I just want it to be on the left hand side. Okay, I just want it here. Okay, so that's fine. Now, let's start entering their salary since this table is set. Okay, the general manager, let's say the highest person paid is general manager, and the person is receiving 500,000. Remember, the figures are in Naira. And this drops down to 380, 370,000. I'm just using enter. Maybe this data may be supplied on the manuscripts. All you have to do is use your keyboard and enter the information. So let's say this one is 250,000. The business development officer, this person is receiving 220,000. Accountant is receiving 200. This values may not be accurate, but let's say this is just what it is. 185,000. Receptionist is taking 215,000. Janitor is taking, let's say, 85,000. The security is taking about 70K. Security one takes 70K, while this one takes 65,000 because the other one is the CSO. This one is just an assistant security. So drivers are big people. You can just take 60,000. Okay, now this is basically the information given to us. Every other information we are going to get is going to be subject to the basic salary. Now, let's edit this. Let's say transport. Transportation should be, considering the removal of subsidy, let's say transportation is about 15%. So 15%. Then medical should take 10%. Now this percentage is percentage of basic salary. How am I editing it? Remember, you click on a cell, then you double click on it. You have to double click to edit. So housing is let's take 20% for instance. Now this data, the data is a flat rate. So it's going to be, let me say, 10,000 naira as flat. So everybody gets the same when it comes to data. I want to adjust this. Okay, so tax. I don't know how much is tax, but let's say tax is 12% as tax. So that will be all. Now, to calculate the first one here, which is the transport allowance 15%. Remember, we start with equal to, first of all, then we type 15, and then put percentage, 15%, then multiply by, I will click the basic salary and enter. I think I was fast with that. Let me do it again. You click on the place where you want to calculate transport, equal to, then since the transport is 15%, I will type 15, add my percentage symbol, then I'll also add my multiplication symbol. That is 15% of the basic salary, which is F5. I can type F5 or simply click on it and then enter. So it means this person is going to be taking an additional 75,000 as transport. Now remember, I need to apply it for others by just coming to this edge and then double click. That's it. Every other person's transport allowance is out following their basic salaries. Similarly, we go to medical allowance and still do the same thing, equal to 10%, then multiplied by the same basic salary, F5, enter. And then I can also double click to apply this to every other person. Housing is 20%, so equal to 20% multiplied by, I'll come and select my basic salary again and enter. Wow, this is big. And then apply for others. Now, when we get to this one that is in flat rate, this one does not need any calculation. All you have to do is, you say everybody will take additional 10,000 for their data subscription. So I will enter 10,000. Then just come to this edge and double click. It's going to filter the same 10,000 for everybody because it's a flat rate. Now, moving on to tax. Tax is 12%. Remember,
Sorry,
tax is
that's the one thing you know. Your data is 1,000, not 10,000.
okay. Let's go on. So the tax is 12%. So I'm going to say equal to 12%, still multiply by the basic salary and enter. Then double click on the edge to apply it to others. So we got in the tax. Now the gross is going to be the total of all allowances together with the basic salary. So that will give us our gross pay. So I would say equal to, remember the function for calculating sum, total is sum. So I would say sum, open a bracket. Now look at what I'm going to do. I'm supposed to say cell F5 to cell J5. So I can say F5. To put the toe here is to put the column on the keyboard. That is shift semicolon, that will give you a column. So to tax, which is K5, so K5. Now observe that that entire range has been selected, showing that I want to find the sum of this area. I'll close the brackets and enter. Wow, 786,000. So I can apply this for every other person because they are now let me undo that. There's also another way of doing that. In case calling the same address is a little difficult for some persons, I can say equal sum, open my brackets, just highlight that entire area I want to get sum. You see that it will also show me the function here that I want to find the sum of F5 to J5. I will close that and enter. Awesome. You see the result is out. Then apply it for others. Now for the net pay, we are going to be subtracting this tax from the gross pay. So that one is just going to be, subtraction is usually with respect to two items. That is the first item minus the second item. So that's also how Excel handles it. So say equal to, then the gross pay, which is L5, then put the minus. Minus is just on the keyboard. Next to plus, you see minus. Minus K5. Notice that when you're subtracting, it's highlighted in different color. So L5 minus K5, enter. Now this is the total, the net pay that this person is going to be getting at the end of this month. Then I will apply it. Okay, now everybody's actual pay is out. Now let me separate, let me just put a different color on this net pay. I will highlight it. Come to this menu here where we have our field column. I can put a field to it. Maybe any color of your choice. I like blue a lot, so let me use this color. It's all about formatting. One can even highlight these first columns here and give it a different feel. And just give it a different feel altogether, something like that. It's all about formatting. Or you can still do without those few columns. All right, so basically we've been able to obtain the allowances and the gross pay. Then from the gross pay, we obtain the net pay. However, this payroll is not complete. The company also needs to know how much in total that they are paying for this particular month. So on this place here, I'm going to add a column. It's not part of the names, so I'm going to call this total. Then this total, let me calculate it from basic salary. Let's know the total basic salary that we'll be paying. Say equal sum bracket. Now I'm summing up not row wise, but on the same column. So I'm summing up from F5 to F15. So F5 to F15. So that the summation can also be done in the same column. Okay. Then I'll close that and enter. So this is the total basic salary that they are paying. If I drag this to the left, to the right rather, you see every other figure will be out. Now, this particular figure, let me highlight it. This particular figure, this is the total amount that the company is going to be spending on this particular month as salary. That's about 2,630,600 naira is the amount they're going to be spending as basic salary. So everything is all set here. All I have to do now is just to highlight this. Now, let's see how we can format this table just a little. I'm going to highlight the entire range. If you come to this menu here, still from our home, you see format as table. If you click on format as table, you're going to see different styles of table that you can choose, different colors. Let me select this for instance. Now see what has happened. When I choose format as table, this thing is looking all different. Now, these filter buttons are now added to this. Now, the filter buttons, you can do some computation like sorting. You can filter by color or filter number. Maybe you want to look at numbers greater than the given range. But let's look at top 10. Okay, let's look at top 3 paid staff. Okay. Now I see that the top 3 paid people. Oh, the thing went and added total. Forget about total. So the total should not be there. So basically, these filter buttons are just used to filter items. If you click there, we can sort this from largest to smallest. Now, there was something I was saying initially. Like, this table looks all good here. It looks all fine. Now, let's say I want to copy the entire work area. Right click, copy, and I want to take it to a new sheet. Now, on this new sheet, see what happens if I try to paste. If you want to paste, you have options. They're asking you, do you just want to paste it the same way it is? Or do you want to paste it as numbers? Or do you want to paste it with the functions? So these are different options. Now, pasting with functions is a very good one because if you paste with functions, the calculations remains such that if you come here and alter this, let's say put it as 400,000, 400,000, it affects every other part of it because we copy this thing with the formula. So let me undo. Now, let me check. Okay, it's still copied. If we paste it as just numbers, now it drops all the formula we have entered. There's no formula again. So this one now is just numbers. So every form of computation which we have done to this data in the previous section has been dropped. So depending on what you want to achieve, you should know how best to copy. For me, sometimes I prefer when I'm done with my computation, maybe I want to export to Microsoft Word and put it up there for printing. It's best if you're pasting that one, you just paste that numbers. But if you still wish to continue another form of calculation, maybe let's say this is for the first month, and then in the second column you want to do it for the next month. It's good you paste it with the functions so that maybe in the second month, if the salaries are adjusted, for instance, maybe this person got a promotion and is now receiving 700,000, and then once you enter that 700,000, you find out that the medical allowance, transport allowance, and every other calculation will also be adjusted. And of course, the company's net pay will also increase. You notice that because of this addition now, this increment from 500 to 700,000, the total money has now moved from previously 2.8 million, 2.8 something million to 3 million and something there because of that adjustment. And that is because our formula was copied alongside. So that is it. Basically, sometimes people want to plot graphs to have a visual representation of the information. Let's say I want to plot a graph using position and net pay as yardstick. The graph will always have items to be used as yardstick. So to plot a graph with this information, let's see how the visual representation looks like. I'm going to select this column, which is for positions. Now to add an additional column to it, I'm going to hold my control key. Control is the first key usually on the left hand side. See it's written CTRL, so that's the control key. I'm going to hold the control key and then come here and select the net pay. Remember, I'm not going to add this total. Total is not part of it. I'm just selecting position and then net pay. Now, on our menu bar, you see insert. This insert is where you can insert items, especially charts. Now, on this chart section, if you go to recommended charts, Excel can automatically recommend a given type of chart for a particular data which you are working on. So let's see if they are going to recommend charts for us. Okay, it has given us some chart options. You see this first one here? This one looks like an inverted form of a bar chart. And this one here is like a pie chart, while this is a histogram. So any of these charts could be used. However, if you want to use your own custom chart, you can come over here. I want to use just a simple bar chart. These bar charts come in 2Ds and 3Ds, depending on which one. I think I like 3D, so I'm going to select this 3D charts. Beautiful. Now this is simply a chart of net pay. Let me scroll down. So let me bring it up from the work. Okay, so this is simply it's titled the net pay. So I'm just going to turn it to payments. Just caption it payment. Now, every chart is supposed to have a what we call label for both the row and column. So if you click on the chart, there will be an option box here called chart elements. Now you can just click on chart elements. There are some items you can add, like title. Of course, that one is already there. So you can add data label. Okay, the time is running out, and luckily we are ending the section also. So I can add data label. Okay, if you add data label, you see that the items just appear on it, but it's looking congested. So I'll remove it and just add axis title. Axis title is very important. So on the y-axis, which is vertical axis, we have a net pay, net pay, and then on the horizontal axis, we have position. So this is the chart for this particular payroll, representing this particular payroll. As you can see, the general manager is the highest here and has gone up to 700 and followed by every other person. Now, if you notice, there is a decline because this our data, the data used to plot this graph is in such a way that is in descending order. That is from highest paid person to the least paid person. That has been clearly shown on this graph. Of course, you notice that this person said the differences are not so much in their graphs. So in this section, we've been able to see how we could also do a simple payroll system. Now, the basic idea in this first class is just to get ourselves used to the work environment in Excel and how to do simple data entry and simple computations, and of course to obtain the required results. As simple as this looks, this can be used in subsequent months because all you have to do is, should you edit the names, you just come here and edit a name. Maybe the manager changes, you just come here and edit the name. And then let's say the basic salary changes. All you have to do is come here, edit the basic salary. Let's say this goes to now 650,000. Once you click enter, every other part of the work is affected. Also, let's say if the transport allowance is now changed, let's say the bring back subsidy and then we reduce transport allowance back to 10%. All you have to do is come back to this first person here. Then you see in this function bar, the function bar here. So where we have 15% multiplied by F5, I will simply go back there and edit it to 10 and enter. Once you do that, remember you have to apply it to others again. You have to double click. After you change this first command, you need to double click it so that it will reflect in others. And observe that immediately we did that, the net pay also adjusted to fit the new percentage given to transport allowance. So this is simply how to prepare a payroll. Maybe what you want to do may not exactly be a payroll, but I believe with these explanations, one can be able to enter basic data and, of course, get basic statistics from any given particular data. Okay. In our subsequent classes, we'll start looking for how to look at descriptive statistics. That is where you can now look at the minimum amount, the maximum amount, the range, the standard deviations, and the rest of that, which are supportive documents to a given set of data. We can even start fitting what we call regression line and start looking at correlations between points. For instance, we can check if there is correlation between the allowances. There's a way the one allowance can relate to the other one. So those ones will be done in subsequent classes. So gear up and get ready because this is the introductory class. In our next class, we'll step it up and then we'll look at other areas of computation and how to use some other layers. In this class today, we've only concentrated on the home and insert. We still have other menus which we have not tapped into, which subsequently we will tap into them. So the floor now is open for questions based on this section. Can I entertain any question? I think your data is one key. Please, what data are you referring to? Those following, please let me know if you're still here, if you're still following what I'm doing, and the floor is open. Is there any area you want me to touch back? We have just 4 minutes, 46 seconds. Is there any area based on what you have done so far tonight that you really want me to really talk about? Please, the floor is now open for questions, for anybody who have questions. Now, this data, let me save it, Control S. This data which we use tonight will be made available on the platform later today to be made available. However, I'm going to produce two sets of it. The first set is going to carry the computation, and then there'll be a second version of it where these computations have been removed so that we can use it to practice. I've done the table to chat should be more emphasized. Okay. One wants to see how we be able to generate that chart. Okay, everyone pay attention. Let's we can just do it quickly. I plotted a chart using position and net pay. Now, how did I do that? Simply, I highlighted the first column, which is my position column. Now, to add the second column, you hold your control key and then select the second column to be used. Now I will dive to my insert menu. Okay, now let's look at charts. There are different kinds of charts that can be plotted here. Even when you go to the, of course, the suggested chart, that recommended charts, you see this one that they recommended. So I can select anyone from this list. Pie chart may not be the best because the items you're looking at are many. So I'll just use a chart like this. This is a simple bar chart. And then, okay, good. The chart will automatically appear. Then you can move it down and format. Now, formatting chart is simply adding rows and column to it. So how did I do that? Firstly, I just edit this. Let me say payments. Now, if you click on the chart, these options comes out your chart elements. You can click on the chart element and add axis title. Very important, axis title, so that you can label your axis very well. It's always good for one to label the axis in a given chart. So this place is net pay. This the y-axis, which is the vertical axis, represents net pay, while the horizontal axis represents position. So let me stand these two charts side by side. You see the difference? The difference between these two charts, they are both bar charts, but one is a 3D chart. See, this one looking a little old compared to this. So those who want to use for presentation, it's always good to use fine charts so that when you're preparing your presentation, it will look very clear. I believe that question has been answered now. I will have just 1 minute to go. So I want to thank everyone who participated in this webinar tonight. Thank you very much. Without you, we wouldn't have been here. So I also want to encourage us to practice. I'm going to make this file available. Practice alongside with it. And then while you're practicing, if you encounter any challenge, feel free to drop the message on the group so that when it is answered, it will benefit every other participant. And also, if you have any data which you feel suits into what we are discussing, you can also bring it up so that every other person can look at it and see how we can work on it.